is your host, named bin Muhammad Rafi, and here is my YouTube channel, Zamir Universal. Why should we not have a ceasefire, and why should Palestine should be liberated? And this is a unique opportunity and is the climax, and I think the extreme cruelty which has been thrusted upon and tolerated by the whole mankind. The whole world is witness to the destroying their mosques, the churches, roads, changing the names of their cities, their ships, their railway lines, their press, their university, their hospitals, everything. Why on earth should now there be a ceasefire and let them be there still as a thorn? Is the world not satisfied yet with the blood let by that? Listen to this little tale of 75 years by a Palestinian himself. And listen what he is saying this in South Africa and what Nelson Mandela said. Listen to the cries of the whole world which your ears have been plugged in. Listen to know and find out who the actual terrorist in this world is, who supported, who provided bombs, who provided jets, who provided billions of dollars, who continues to do this, who under the disguise of a wolf has been pretending as a sheep and playing on both sides as a hypocrite. So unless you get rid of this menace, unless you get rid of such hypocrisy, unless you get rid of these Zionists, you are not ever going to have peace in the world, let alone in Palestine, or let alone in this small enclave and this illegitimate child created by America and the Great Britain. The main guilty party who distributed as it belonged to their forefathers and was their ancestral land was the Great Britain. Did that in Kashmir, they did that in here in Rohingya, they did that in China, they did that. Every conflict in the world where there has been a dispute, this was just like as in Urdu said, Bandarbant. This is what they divided as the monkeys. You throw a banana and you have a herd of monkeys that they tear off piece by piece that piece of banana. And this is what they did after the fall of Ottoman Empire. This is how they distributed the plunder and loot. And the Palestine, which actually was the responsibility of the Great Britain, look what they did to that, and look what they have done to Kashmir. And after this, there will be another vlog which will be exclusively, I think, be reserved for Kashmir. And a lot of people know about the crimes being committed in Rohingya. So if you are praying for a ceasefire, I think now that time has passed. Let the people now give their life in Ramadan. Let them eliminate this menace forever. Let every Muslim country send squadrons of their best jets and pilots. Let them send tons and tons of ammunition to start leveling from Eilat to Tel Aviv every piece, every inch of the present Zionist state of Israel. Level even their graves, level the Netanyahus from his nose to teeth to his bones, leave no bone, powder them. And this whole war council is all those, the terrorists making all kinds of statements, coming as refugees, and now pretending as they are some, owners of this land. And now look at that in insistence. They have been showing and kicking the whole world and defying, and their father who have been supporting them on their shoulders have been veto after veto after veto has been the United States, the blackened face of the United States, the most terrorist state. And the terrorism was born in by the Ben Gurion and was born in the Zionists, and then it spread to the whole world. There were no terrorists, no terrorists in Islam. There were never ever any terrorists in Taliban. There was no Al Qaeda. There was no ISS. There was nothing, everything was done by this filthy and criminal menace and this nation, which has continued to destroy the world economy, the world peace. And you can imagine now what is the starvation doing to the kids. Listen to the story of that little child who is asking his father, will my hands grow when I grow up? Shame on you. Shame on this humanity. Shame on United States Security Council. Shame on all the International Court of Justice or whatever the international bodies there are. You have failed to bring peace in this world because one rascal, one terrorist, one stubborn mule, one mentally deranged, schizophrenic, mechanomalic leader has defeated you, and his name is Netanyahu. And this Netanyahu with his stepfather.
I just came today from Palestine, carrying in my heart and in my mind the story of Gaza and the suffering of the people, the story of Palestine, about which Nelson Mandela said before anybody else that it is the most important moral issue of our time. Palestine is suffering today from the most terrible atrocity. 3 war crimes are taking place at the same time in parallel. The war crime of genocide, the war crime of ethnic cleansing, the war crime of collective punishment. And the results are shocking. 37,000 people killed so far, including those who are under the rubble that nobody can get to. 73,000 injured people. 700,000 people at this time are suffering from starvation in the north of Gaza. 1 million people are now sick of different diseases because of the siege, lack of water, lack of food. Israel is killing us with bombardment, with starvation, and also with diseases. They have thrown on us American bombs, the largest air bridge ever organized in the Middle East for Israel by the United States of America. 70,000 tons of explosives thrown on that little place that is Gaza, which is not larger than 140 square miles. 70,000 tons of explosives. That is more than double both nuclear bombs thrown on Nagasaki and Hiroshima during the Second World War. It is 30 kilograms of explosives for each man, woman, and child in Gaza. Today is the International Women's Day, and I congratulate all women here on this day. But on this day, 50,000 pregnant women in Gaza cannot find a safe place to give birth in. 64,000 breastfeeding women cannot feed their babies because they are hungry. They don't have food. 350,000 girls and women are starving now in the north of Gaza because of this terrible Israeli crime. My heart, I told my colleagues today, my heart broke when I watched a little child in Gaza who is one of 1,000 children who lost their limbs up till now, asking his father, the 5-year-old baby asks his father, he lost both hands, and he was asking his father, will my hands grow up again when I grow up? That is the suffering of thousands of children 17,000 orphans up till now in Gaza because of this terrible Israeli crime. 7th of October was not the beginning of history. We have been suffering from ethnic cleansing since 76 years, since 1948, when Israel committed the first Nakba, and it is now committing the second Nakba. 57 years of military Israeli occupation, the longest in modern history, and the worst system of apartheid. I used to say apartheid in Palestine was like apartheid in South Africa, but you, the South African friends and comrades, told me when you came to Palestine, no, this is a much worse apartheid than what prevailed in South Africa. That is the reality of today. And we all remember, Israelis don't understand why South Africa is with us. They forgot that when they were supporting the apartheid system here, doing nuclear experiments with the apartheid regime here, when the prime minister of the apartheid system said in 1963, Israel is like South Africa, is also an apartheid state. They forgot that. They forgot that while they were supporting apartheid here in South Africa, our revolutionaries in the Palestinian Revolution were supporting the fighters of the ANC for the freedom of South Africa. And I want here to say, I came here, my friends and comrades and colleagues, to thank you, to thank South Africa, to thank the ANC, to thank Comrade Naledi Pandor, because you are now, I want you to know, Mrs. Foreign Minister, I want you to know that you are now the hero of the Palestinian people. You are the hero of the Palestinian people. You are the hero of the Palestinian people. Because you dared to do what others should have done and they didn't dare to do. Because you were not afraid of the Zionist movement, and you were not afraid of the United States of America and of all those who were pressuring you not to do what you have done by taking these criminals to the International Court of Justice. What is wrong with asking for the application of international law? What is wrong for asking to facilitate the most important justice court in our world? That's what you have done heroically, but that's what so many others did not dare to do. And we, the Palestinians, will remember that forever. We remember your heroism. We will remember how you stood with us. We will remember how you stood up to American and Western pressure. And we will remember how you did justify and show, how you have shown what Nelson Mandela said, that South Africa will not be completely free till Palestine is free. I know today that there are...
Mr. Secretary, about how many Palestinian women and children have been killed by Israel since October 7th?
It's over 25,000.
Mr. Secretary, last week, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights warned that any transfer of weapon or ammunition to Israel violates international law. About how many precision-guided munitions has the United States given Israel since the beginning of the war?
I don't have that number at my fingertips, but we have endeavored
Mr. Zaid, it's about 21,000 precision-guided munitions to Israel since the start of the war. Will you commit today that you will halt any future military sales to Israel?
Obviously, sir, that's a presidential decision. I expect that when we provide munitions to allies and partners, that they'll use them in a responsible way.
Hamas is not a terrorist group for us, of course, as you know. It's a political movement, but
In terms of Israel's plan to eliminate Hamas and have them never be part of any future negotiation when it comes to Gaza, do you think that's realistic?
I think it's very
यूनिवर्सल टेलीविजन को सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें, उसके बाद बेल बटन पे क्लिक करें और अपने कमेंट्स के सेक्शन में अपने कीमती जो ख्यालात का इजहार ज़रूर